portion, BaMidbar, Numbers. The book of Numbers, this week's portion that is read every week in the synagogue, begins the book of Numbers. During the course of the year in the synagogue, they read the whole Torah. That is the first 5 books of the Moses, the Chumash in Hebrew, meaning Homish or Pentateuch in English. That is the Torah written by Moses. This is read right the way through. And each week a different section is read out on the Sabbath day, on the Shabbat. This week's portion is called BaMidbar. It begins the book of Numbers. And the whole portion extends from Numbers chapter 1 verse 1 to Numbers chapter 4 verse 20. And as we said, this week's portion is called BaMidbar, which literally means in the wilderness, because that is where the action in the portion has taken place. It has taken place in the wilderness, after the children of Israel have already come out of Egypt. And they've already received the Torah, and now they're encamped around the Tabernacle, and they're about to undergo a census, to take a census. God tells them to take a census of all of the different tribes, and he also gives specific commandments and directions to the Levites. So, and that is what our section is concerned with, but it brings up a number of points of interest. We'll go through them very briefly, and this is of interest to us. We should remember that the Bible is written to the children of Israel. The Bible was given to the children of Israel. The message of the Bible is pertinent to all the peoples of the earth. That is how the God of the world revealed himself. He revealed himself through the Bible and through the Israelite nation. Through speaking to the Israelite nation, the God Almighty reveals himself to all of mankind. That is how he wanted it. It might be fair, it might be not be fair, it might be just, it might be compatible with our conceptions of equity, of equality. Doesn't matter. This is how things are. This is how things were and always will be. God reveals himself to the nations of the world through the children of Israel. The children of Israel, meaning all the 12 tribes of Israel. There are 2 different sections of the children of Israel. One section now is to be found amongst the Jewish people. They comprise the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, and minority portions of the other tribes. And we also have the 10 tribes who were taken into exile by the Assyrians, lost consciousness of their ancestry, but migrated in stages, moved in stages to the west. They are now to be found amongst Western peoples, including the USA, peoples of the USA, including peoples of the British Isles, including peoples of the western coast of Europe. That is where the lost tribes are to be found today. And we have proven it. That is what our organisation, Brit-Am, Hebrew Nation, seeks to prove, and that is what we do. We prove it. We prove it through research, and that is our ongoing occupation, researching the subject, and also revealing the knowledge so gained to as many people as are prepared to listen to us as possible, and also to work towards a reconciliation between Judah, the Jewish people, and the 10 tribes of Israel. And these are our 3 hours: research, revelation, reconciliation. And we are now concerned with this book of Numbers, and it begins, Numbers 1:1. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of meeting, on the 1st day of the 2nd month, the 2nd year after they had come out of the land of Egypt, saying, take a census of all the congregation of the children of Israel, by their families, by their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, every male individually, from 20 years old and above, all who are able to go to war in Israel. You and Aaron shall number them by their armies, and with there shall be a man from every tribe, every one the head of his father's house. And every Israelite here was to be numbered, apart from Levi, who was numbered separately later. Every Israelite between the ages of 20 to 60 was numbered. And we are told these are the names of the men who shall stand with you: from Reuben, Elitzur, the son of Shadi'ur; from Simeon, Shlumiel, the son of Zurishaddai; from Judah, Nachshon, the son of Aminadab; from Issachar, Nathanael, the son of Suah; from Zebulun, Eliab, the son of Helon; from the sons of Joseph, from Ephraim, Elishama, the son of Amihud; from Manasseh, Gamaliel, the son of Padatsur; from Benjamin, Abidan, the son of Gideon; from Dan, Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai; from Asher Pagiel the son of Achran, from Gad Eliasaph the son of Duel, from Naphtali Ahira the son of Anan. These were chosen from the congregation leaders of their families, heads of the divisions in Israel, and so on. And these are the ones that were numbered, as we're told in verse 44. 144, these were the ones who were numbered, who Moses and Aaron numbered, the leaders of Israel, 12 men, each one representing his father's house. So all who were numbered of the children of Israel by their father's houses, from 20 years old and above, all who were able to go to war in Israel, all who were numbered were 603,550. The Levites were to remain separate, but the Levites were not numbered, as beginning from verse 47, 147. The Levites were not numbered among them by their father's tribe, for the Lord has spoken to Moses, saying, only the tribe of Levi you shall not number, nor take a census of them among the children of Israel. You shall appoint the Levites over the tabernacle of the testimony, over all its furnishings and of all things that belong to it. They shall carry the tabernacle and all its furnishings. They shall attend to it and camp around the tabernacle. When the tabernacle is to go forward, the Levites shall take it down. When the tabernacle is to be set up, the Levites shall set it up. The outsider who comes near shall be put to death. The children of Israel shall pitch their tents, everyone by his own camp, everyone by his own standard, according to their armies. But the Levites shall camp around the tabernacle of the testimony, that there may be no wrath on the congregation of the children of Israel, and the Levites shall keep charge of the tabernacle of the testimony. So everyone had their own task, their own particular place to be, and they were forbidden to move out of it. Each and every person had his own task and his own arrangement, his own position in the overall encampment, and that's where what they had to stick to and do. We shall learn from this, and each and every single Israelite has his own individual task in this world. Each and every single one of us has their own destiny, their own goal, their own thing that they are commanded to do in this life. It might be several things, but they're all linked up together. We shall continue, return to this theme. Concerning the Levites were to be remain separate. Maimonides, who summarized the task of the Levites, and wrote a book of Jewish law, and he explains what the Levites were, what made them so special. In his code of Jewish law, Mishneh Torah, he says, not only those from the tribe of Levi, but every human being throughout the world whose spirit has made him willing and whose intellect has guided him to set himself apart before the compassionate one, that is God, to minister unto him and to serve him with the purpose of knowing the compassionate one, that is to know God, to walk honestly as the just one created him to do, and to remove from himself the yoke of the many earthly affairs that human beings pursue. Such a person is sanctified and is the Holy of Holies. The compassionate one becomes his portion and his inheritance for all eternity. Will grant him in this world whatever will suffice for his needs, even as he has done for the Kohanim and the Levites. And this applies to every human being, not only Israelites, not only people from the tribe of Israel, but every human being who sets himself apart to dedicate himself to God Almighty. This is what God will do for him. God will look after him according to this. And as David, peace be upon him, continues Maimonides, said, the compassionate one is my allotted portion, and my share you guide my destiny. See Psalm 16:5. So this is a promise that was given, and we may not understand it. It may not be applicable to everyone. Even those to whom it is applicable may have a great deal of trouble in applying it. We should all do what we have to do as well as we can, and as well as the Almighty leads us. But it's worth keeping in mind, this portion. And the Levites did not have to serve into the army, and they did not have to do any public service. And nowadays in the land of Israel, we have a small group amongst the ultra-Orthodox. We have religious Jews, non-religious Jews, and amongst the religious Jews we have those who are Orthodox. Most religious Jews in Israel are Orthodox, even the non-religious Jews are Orthodox. Amongst the Orthodox we have those who in English are referred to as the Haredim, as the ultra-Orthodox, in Hebrew as the Haredim. And amongst them, not all of them, people seem to get the impression that all the ultra-Orthodox are like this, but no, a small portion of the ultra-Orthodox learn full-time. They dedicate themselves to learning the Torah, and They do learn the Torah. They're usually not conscripted in the army. They're free from army service as long as they learn the Torah. They receive a small sum of money, less than $200, not very much money, from the government. The government does give them something. Their wives work. Sometimes they take odd jobs, or their families help them, and somehow or other they get by. Statistically, for every shekel they receive from the government, they put back almost straight away about 3 times as much. So can be improved statistically. So from the point of view of the government, it should be a worthwhile investment. I mean, you put in 1, you get back 4 or more straight away, and over the long run you get back 10 times more. It helps the state of Israel, it helps the Jewish society, it helps everyone, it's good for everyone. And then up until now, most people wanted it. Nowadays, there's a lot of propaganda against it. We have secular elements, anti-Jewish elements in the government, anti-religious elements. And some of these elements receive money from the Reform Jews and also from the EU. Surprisingly enough, the European Union gives money to encourage incitement against religious Jews, against the Jewish religion. This is official. I'm not saying something about money which is passed under the table, secret money which is passed around in sealed envelopes, or things which are said behind your back. These are things which are openly stated as official policy in governmental budgets, which are subject to examination and to criticism and to challenging. It's all up there officially. EU funds from European countries helps. Not only does it help Palestinians and anti-Israelite activists and homosexuals and all kinds of people who are trying to undermine the state of Israel, it's also, some of this money is also going to help anti-religious incitement against the Jewish religion, because the Germans and other European peoples hate the Jewish religion. Anyone who is an evil person hates the truth, and some of these people are evil, and this is something that has to be said. And this is what the reality we live in. At all events, this whole matter should be an internal affair for the Jewish, amongst the Jews for Jews to deal with it one against each other. It's a portion of BaMidbar. This is a portion of in the wilderness. As we said, it deals with the Levites, it deals with the census of all of the tribes. In summary, the portion tells us our commandment went out for the Israelites, told the census according to their families and tribes. The heads, that is the princes of each tribe, are listed as we have read. Then each tribe is mentioned with its numbers. After that, once again, the heads of the tribes are recalled once more with the number of the tribes, but now each tribe is grouped in a threesome, a triunity. 3 tribes altogether. We have therefore, since there are 12 tribes, we have 4 different sections according to the 4 different points of the compass, and these are listed. And then the responsibility of the Levites for the tabernacle is announced once more. The family divisions of Aaron. Aaron was the head of the Kohanim, or the priests. He was from the tribe of Levi, but they were somewhat separate. They were just distinct group amongst the tribe of Levi. They were the priestly section. After that, we have the clan divisions of the tribe of Levi, and the census of Levi, and then each family group within Levi is given its own individual tasks connected with some aspect or other of taking the tabernacle apart and putting it back together again, and everything connected with that. And that is our section. Now there are a few points worth of some attention. All of it is worth attention, but especially from our point of view, concerning the lost 10 tribes of Israel, because we say the lost 10 tribes of Israel are now amongst the Western nations. That is where the lost 10 tribes are. That's where they are to be searched for. That is where they are to be found, and that is what our organisation, Hebrew Nations, concerns itself with, looking for the lost 10 tribes of Israel. So we have a few points connected with our particular interest in this portion that we should notice. So one of them is that the Midrash Rabbah on this section gives the individual symbols of each tribe. This section does say, it says expressly that each tribe had its own individual standard. So each tribe, the Bible tells us, so each tribe had its own individual standard, its own individual symbol. The Midrash tells us what these symbols are, and we have a separate talk on this, a separate article, so we'll just go through it briefly here. Reuben was represented by the mandrakes, that is the Davidiy. Other sources say a rising sun. Now we're going according to what the Midrash and Midrash Rabbah says. Simeon was represented by an image of the city of Shechem. Levi had the breastplate of the high priest, because the Kohen, the high priest, wore the breastplate, and he was from the priestly family, who were a section of the tribe of Levi. Judah had a lion. Issachar had the sun and moon on his standard, because they're from the people of Issachar were people who were responsible for determining the calendar, and they were known for their astronomical and mathematical expertise. Zebulun had a ship. Dan had a snake on his standard. Others say a lion or a pair of scales, but here the Midrash says a snake. Gad had a group of tents representing a unit of soldiers. Others show an axe or a sword for Gad, but here a group of tents is what the Midrash says there was. Naphtali had a female deer. Asher had an olive tree, the tribe of Asher, that is. Joseph had a representation of Egypt. We think this was a pyramid, because when you look at a pyramid of that, it's what you recall. You recall Egypt, and this was a symbol of Joseph. Other sources show Joseph with a palm tree, or with a grapevine, or with a sheep. Ephraim, the son of Joseph, Ephraim had his own standard. He had a bull on the standard. Historically, England was dominated by Ephraim. Manasseh, also Manasseh had a unicorn. A unicorn was on the standard, according to the Midrash, that is Zeraim, was on the standard of Manasseh. Other sources sometimes show Manasseh with a bull, but this is a mistake, as we explain elsewhere. Benjamin is shown by a wolf. And then the scripture goes on and lists the tribes in groups of three. There are three groupings, triunion groups. It says in chapter 2, verse 1, and the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, every one of the children of Israel shall camp by his own standard beside the emblem of his father's house. They shall camp some distance from the tabernacle meeting. On the east side, Judah is mentioned first of all. The east side, Judah is at the head of Issachar and Zebulun. On the south side was Reuben, at the head of Simeon and Gad. On the west side shall be the standard with the forces of Ephraim according to their armies. Ephraim was the leader of Manasseh and Benjamin. That was on the west side. Manasseh together with Ephraim together with Manasseh and Benjamin. Ephraim and Manasseh were the sons of Joseph, and Joseph was a brother of Benjamin. So they're all together. Joseph and Benjamin were the two sons of Rachel. Rachel was a wife of Jacob. Jacob is also known as Israel. Israel, or Jacob, was the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel. And then we have on the north side, we have the standard of Dan with standard of Dan with Asher and Naphtali. It says the standard of the forces with Dan shall be on the north side according to their armies. The leader of the children of Dan shall be Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai. Numbers chapter 2, verse 2-5. This grouping of four groups of three, as well as their relative position around the tabernacle. We find these arrangements to have been repeated in history of these nations. And we identify specific peoples with different Israelite tribes, or at least Israelite tribes tended to concentrate in specific areas, and they did impart aspects of their characteristics, aspects of their tribal characteristics to the national features of the peoples amongst whom they settled and whom they came to dominate. And we find the history of the nations in question to have been associated with, or traditionally allied with, or neighbouring or dwelling alongside other peoples whom we also identify with the Israelite tribes, and when we compare these tribes who were associated with each other, we find very often that it is parallel to these groupings of three separate tribes in making one unit arranged around the tabernacle. This had historical implications for the future, and we have an article on this, a separate article and a description. Also in our book, The Tribes, we have gone into this in some detail. So, and all of these tribes were centered around the tabernacle. The tabernacle, in effect, was the precursor of the temple. The tabernacle is, in effect, a traveling temple. Later, the temple was built in Jerusalem, and it replaced the tabernacle. The tabernacle and the temple are, in effect, from the point of view of religious practice, they are one and the same. After the temple was established in Jerusalem, there was no longer any need for a tabernacle. The temple replaced the tabernacle, and the temple was very important. The temple was important for all of the peoples of the world. It was important for mankind. When the temple existed, if we had the temple today, people would realize that God exists, that He's a God in this world, and there is divine providence in this world, there is reward and punishment in this world, and that every single one of us has a responsibility in this life to do what we have to do. And the temple enabled people to live a righteous life and to live a moral existence and to fulfill their duty. And the temple gave us strength to do good in this world, and it was for the good of mankind. And there's a midrash about this that emphasizes this truth, which is what it is. It is truth. And this midrash, when our portion, Numbers Rabbah 1:3 says, if the peoples of the world had only known how good the temple was for them, they would have placed armies around it to protect it. It was better for them than it was for Israel. It was better for them than it was for Israel even. This may be seen from how Solomon arranged his prayers. He says in 2 Chronicles 6, verses 32 to 33, moreover, concerning the stranger, which is not of your people Israel, and do according to all that the stranger calls to you for. Solomon asked God to listen to the stranger who would pray towards the temple even more than he listens to the children of Israel. And this is what in effect happened. It's concerning the non-Israelite stranger. Concerning Israel it says, render unto every man according to all his ways, his heart, 2 Chronicles chapter 6 verse 30. If the Israelite was worthy, God would grant his request, and if not, He would not grant it. This applies not only to the temple, but to everything. If it were not for Israel, the sun would not shine. By virtue of Israel, God gives plenty to others in this world. In the world to come, the people of the world will see how God is with Israel, and will come and cling unto Israel, as it says in Zechariah 8:3. In those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold of, 10 men out of all the languages of the nations of the world shall take hold of he who is a Jew, and say, let us go with you, for we have heard that God is with you. So this is an important point. The temple was good for the world. The temple is important. The temple helps mankind do what they have to do. And not only that, but we need to rebuild the temple. According to tradition, the 10 tribes, when they return, will help rebuild the temple. The Messiah, son of Joseph, who is a future leader of the 10 tribes, who will help the 10 tribes come back and reunify them with Judah, he will be instrumental in having the temple rebuilt. So those who believe the temple should be rebuilt, who know its importance, should also work towards the return of the 10 tribes, and also realize who the 10 tribes are. The 10 tribes now are to be found amongst peoples in the West. That is where the 10 tribes are. That is what must be made known to everyone. That is what the peoples in the West should know. They should know their ancestry, and that is also what the Jews should also become aware of. This is one of the most important messages in the world today, but at least potentially. In its potential, it has the power to make a lot of changes, and not only that, the bottom line is that this is the truth. This is the historical truth. This is the truth of the Bible. This is the truth of rabbinical sources. This is the truth that has to be made known, that deserves to be made known, and that we are working towards having it made known. May the God of Israel bless all of us. Thank you.